This is the Extremists Podcast. My name is Alex. I'm the center position. I'm joined here today by August, our lib left.
Salutations.
Cole, our lib right.
Salutations.
Ava, our auth left.
Salutations.
And Micah, our auth right.
Salutations.
If you're listening to us on YouTube or any other platform that has both video and audio, you should be seeing a display of each of us talking in our chat. The boxes will glow green when you see us speaking, and that way you'll be able to better indicate who's speaking. As well, you just heard each of our voices, so you'll be able to indicate whether somebody on the left or somebody on the right is speaking. If you're listening to this on Spotify, Anchor, or any other platform that is audio only, welcome to the podcast as well. Thank you for supporting us by listening to us on one of those platforms. This episode and others like it are brought to you by the viewers. Thank you for that. If you want to support us, you can continue to click the link in our bio or in the description of this video. That way you'll be able to join our Discord, follow our Instagram, and listen to us on a multitude of platforms as a car speeds past my house going Mach 5 speed. Today we're going to open up our podcast with the presidential election. The conventions, I think the DNC just wrapped up, and I think the RNC is going on now. We've actually seen a spike in support for Trump after the DNC ended. Many people are thinking that it might level out again after the end of the RNC, but the RNC has been doing pretty well. It's gotten, I believe, triple the views, at least on YouTube, that the DNC had. So we're going to open up with, who would like to talk first about the presidential election?
I don't like any of them.
You don't like any of them?
Vote.
Well, I don't think any of us like any of them. I mean,
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, how are we supposed to have a whole conversation
well,
about
I think it's more
Okay.
like,
Well, to be honest, I'm actually in support of Biden, and I have a very long reason. Like, it's a huge explanation on why. Like, there's a huge citation on me saying I support Joe Biden, and there's a huge fucking asterisk behind that.
How much are you getting paid
Talk
for
about
that?
it. How much are you getting paid for that?
No, unironically, I genuinely. Okay, so he's gone down on record several times having said that he is a transitional candidate, and he even recognized that. The times when his brain isn't just a bowl of soup, not actually being able to think of anything. He said that. And the reason that I believe that he might know what he's talking about is because he was the vice president for someone who is very obviously associated with the establishment of the typical establishment Democrat. And when you look at his willingness to collaborate with other, I'm doing finger quotes here, far left candidates in America, such as AOC or Bernie Sanders, you sort of he's not the candidate that we want right now, but he's opening the door for us to slowly shift the Overton window further to the left so that there can actually be a chance for change maybe 10 years down the road instead of never.
what I would say to that is, do you even think he will make it past his first year?
Yeah, I think he's gonna die in office.
I think he's going to resign as soon as he gets elected and just give it to Kamala Harris.
Yeah, because
If
I
he
think,
makes it, which I don't think he's going to win,
if
but that's a separate talk.
you're voting for Joe Biden, you are essentially voting for Kamala Harris. There's no way.
And a lot of people thought about that with Bernie too, because Bernie's having a lot of health complications. So a lot of people were like, whoever he picks to be his vice president is going to be really big. And you could say that for Trump too, but I think Trump's doing a lot better.
I don't know how.
Trump
Have you
does
seen
actually-
those videos of
He's
what
doing
that
very
man
well.
eats?
Yeah, he
Have you
has. Doesn't he
seen
drink an
what
obscene
that
amount of
man
Diet Coke or something like that?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
drinks
Diet soda is
Coke every day.
disgusting. I hate
But,
diet soda.
I have
But I-
never seen an average weight person drinking diet soda.
Yeah.
Ever. There has to be some correlation with that. There has to be.
But I mean, Trump at least, they do health checks on him, and they're dude's actually healthy for I don't know how.
How?
I don't know how, but it looks like
There's
he
one-
can last another 4 years.
Man
Biden
is
will not.
one
There was
burger
no way.
away from a heart attack.
Maybe, but they keep saying he's healthy. They
There's
take
actually, I've seen some conspiracies analyzing pictures of him just standing, and it looks so unnatural. They swear that he's wearing a brace or something.
Oh yeah, if you look at him stand, they actually him and his kids. It's really weird. They all stand it looks like their legs are farther back than their chest.
Trumps are aliens.
Remember all those conspiracies that you would find on YouTube every once in a while that Obama was a reptile alien?
Yeah, same with
I think you mean
Mark
Israelite.
Zuckerberg. There was like Mark Zuckerberg too.
Wait, what do you mean it's a conspiracy?
August.
Obama Jew confirmed, yeah.
All right, say goodbye to our
August,
sponsors.
Raid Shadow Legends.
Yeah. Oh, we're never
August,
stooping
are
that
you-
low.
Are
I
you
mean,
okay
5,000
with Kamala Harris? Like, are you do you see her as another transitional
I'm
candidate?
gonna
or-
be honest. I literally the only thing that I know about the woman is that she used to be like a cop,
DA.
and
Yeah, she was a DA.
that's hashtag not based. And I don't know. I just I know nothing about her her actual stances on anything, and it's not for like lack of trying to like find out. It's just that like, I mean, I've just like been like generally informed on like most of the candidates, and just nothing has really stood out from her other than just like the general like, we're gonna make America good. We can't say great again because Trump's already got that. They kind of took that from us, but we're gonna make America livable.
I think it's
Did
funny
y'all
that
watch
in
Go
the
ahead.
DNC,
No, not the DNC, but the debates for the primaries.
the primaries, not really. No, I feel like a lot of people don't, because it's becoming
I didn't
politics
watch
is
them, but I did.
becoming, at least in America, it's very much like a reality TV show, and I don't want to watch that.
Oh yeah,
I'm into politics.
but I mean, like in the
because I'm into
primaries,
politics.
she got fucking roasted. Like she got destroyed. Like she was.
Well, she called Biden like a racist bigot or some shit like that.
Oh yeah.
And then
It's Kamala
it's like
Harris.
it's like, oh, I would like to apologize to you, Miss Harris, by formally choosing you to be president of the United States.
Yeah. it's
Like,
just-
I mean, she's not wrong.
I think it's hilarious that the DNC, at the height of anti-cop protests and the polarization of a lot of views in America, they decided to pick a senile dude who fought against segregation and a woman who was very harsh on people who used marijuana and willingly had evidence that showed that an innocent man was on death row, and she didn't use it.
I mean, they
And
could have
also-
picked a different senile man who was like arrested like over the course of 30 years several times for like protesting for civil rights, but they just
Yeah,
like,
right,
fuck
but-
you, Bernie.
Oh yeah, no, I think the
don't-
DNC is not connected with their supporters in the slightest.
Well, if you even look at the convention, actually, they never once. I don't think they really mentioned at all the riots themselves. Like they talked about like the protests and Black Lives Matter, but they didn't mention the riots. I think the other thing they didn't mention, but there was like a couple of things that it's like, hey, this stuff is going on right now, and y'all just aren't talking about it. Like it's just there's a lot of
they didn't talk about like the impeachment too, which I thought was
Oh.
kind of interesting because it was this big thing and it was supposed to be this like historical event that was going to occur. I think everybody fucking knew from the beginning it was a waste of taxpayer money and it was a waste of time
yeah
because it wasn't gonna happen. But they were like, oh, well,
Right.
it's this historic thing. I mean, he's impeached, so it shows something. Yeah, he was impeached, but it didn't do anything, and
a
it's wasting.
symbolic waste of
Why?
taxpayer
And then
money.
they turn around and they're like, why do taxpayers not want to vote? Why are half of the American population not voting? Because they're sick
I
of
wonder
shit.
why.
They don't care. They
Well,
don't think life is going to change.
I
Well,
think
it's not
that,
because
like,
both parties. It's kind of like, I mean, they're just right beside each other, and the only thing they really disagree upon, because they agree on spending all the money they can, they agree on going to war, they agree on like more taxation. The only thing they disagree on is like guns and
gays.
yeah. I mean,
Abortion.
pretty much there's like 2 or 3 issues that are like, you're terrible about the or abortion would be another one. I mean, it's kind of like.
Yeah.
They'll focus on that, but they'll also like unanimously vote to go to war or unanimously vote to raise our taxes or just raise the debt ceiling.
It's
I mean,
Oh no, raising our taxes. Oh no. Ah.
they're raising. Hey, my 3 nephews and nieces, they need jobs and they don't want to go to college, so I'm gonna raise your taxes so I can pay them each $200,000 a year. Thank you.
Oh yeah, something I actually a little fun fact Friday I had last week.
It's Thursday.
That's why I said last week because I found this out last week. Each congressman actually gets $40,000 a year annually to decorate their office. That's interesting.
That's a waste of money.
Yeah.
What?
I mean,
I'm
if
gonna
you
go into
really look-
Congress. I'm gonna
Yeah,
go into
try to
Congress,
make a liberal-
and I'm gonna buy nothing but
Weed.
those Funko Pops. And I'm just gonna get every Funko Pop I can.
Funko
Funko Pop. But I'm gonna take one of them
This
out of the
episode
box.
brought to you by Funko
and I'm gonna
Pops.
stack them against each wall, and it's gonna be a dark room, and I'm gonna take the light bulbs out of the ceiling, and it's gonna be like a cover. And then when they pull the cover off, and they're like, "Oh, we need to change the light bulbs." There's gonna be a Funko Pop in the light fixture. It's just gonna be rammed into the light fixture, permanently broken.
You'll honestly probably get more done than the average comic.
Yes, I will.
God.
Well, it's what's crazy is it's not
for
like
Congress.
they get $40,000 to decorate.
I'm
the
gonna
office.
be a politician. Out of
They get. I
spite.
don't know what their salary is. I think. It's not like a huge. I think it's like $200,000 a year or something like that.
Only $200,000.
Yeah, only that.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, like, you also get a full staff that does everything for them. Like, every one of them gets like a full staff of probably at least 10 people.
Change
at
my
least.
diaper.
And then, they also get protection. Like, everywhere they go, they get protection. They probably get, their own personal vehicles, like, that are.
Let's also not forget, like, as long as you serve for 2 years, you have lifetime medical insurance or like Medicare and all that shit from your job, and also you get your fucking pension after just 2 years.
Yeah, it's like it's so like they don't live with their constituents. They live in Washington D.C. Like the housing market in Washington D.C. is like crazy high because they know every 2 or 3 years there's going to be a new person coming in buying $1 million, $2 million, like $5 million home, like in cash, and they'll just do it every 4 years, every 2 years that they're turned over because they all live there and they all get mansions. Like, it's crazy. It was a pretty insightful thing. It kind of like really pisses me off because they're living in mansions and their constituents are like don't even have houses and they don't care. And they're scared to get reelected. What's that?
I said Cole Goes Communist Part 1.
I just hate, like, this is not, even, like, I don't want government, but even, like, if I can look back and just say, okay, if we're going to do it how the founding fathers want, this is not what they envisioned at all. Like, this is not what they
Speaking
thought.
of what the founding fathers envisioned, the post
Yeah,
office.
what did they
Oh
envision?
yeah, the post office. We're gonna talk about the post office.
Let's talk
Oh my
about
God.
Let's
that.
talk about the post
All right,
office.
let's go into this
So
post office.
I'm gonna open with August on this one, only
Oh boy,
because
here we go.
aren't you
August
employed by the
is
post
the
office? Don't you
mailman.
work for the post office?
I'm actually an employee of FedEx. However, my grandfather actually retired from the post office just last year, and I have all of every Fun Fact Friday of my life has been dedicated to learning about the post office. So let's go.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Give us your delightful opinion on the post office and the current situation going on.
All right, so the first thing that you really have to know about the post office is that it was originated during the Revolutionary War as a service for the American people, not a business. It was actually private. Well, it wasn't privatized, but it was essentially made into a business that was supposed to be self-sustaining by Reagan in the 70s. And in 2006, there was it was an act signed, what was it called? It was the Postal Accountability and Enhancement Act, which started to actually like push for the postal office to actually like sustain itself. But prior to that, in fact, in World War II, it was actually doubling as a bank system for minorities and underprivileged people in America that weren't able to find appropriate banks for them because like there were just so many like predatory type places. Like think of like those like cash loans, like 800% interest rates after like a week of not paying it back. It was just like, it was absolutely ridiculous. And the banks were actually doubling as, or not the banks, the post offices were doubling as banks for people who needed affordable bank rates and stuff. And up until the 70s, it was just a part of the government. It was a feature for paying your taxes and not a business that was supposed to keep itself afloat. So the fact that it is being commodified into a business that's supposed to compete with things like Amazon, FedEx, mind you, the Postal Service also carries a very large amount of Amazon and FedEx and I believe UPS as well, a lot of their packages, because it's cheaper to ship through the UPS or the USPS because it was designed to be something. It was a cheap alternative to anything else. And I can verify this because as a FedEx employee, we get a shit ton of Amazon. Like a lot of businesses, they try and use the cheapest one. Wouldn't you know it, FedEx is like, they're tagged as being the next like shipping system to go out because they're the cheapest among the three that are like the big three other than the USPS.
Okay, I'll start on this. Okay, so first of all, what was the act in 2006? Was that the same one that required them to, I think it was pensions or retirement to, if you know about the post office, I'm pretty sure you know about this, about how they required retirement up to like 75 years for all their employees. Like,
I'm gonna have to pull it back. Like I haven't like read the entire thing, but I know that that's the bill that was signed into law roughly around when a lot of like people who are against the post office saying like, oh, for the past 14 years it's been accruing billions of dollars in debt. And like when you actually go through and look at what happened in that year, it was this law that was passed that started to make them have to like be a more self-sustaining business when they weren't designed to be that. So I can pull it up if you want to keep talking. I'll try to educate myself on that part.
What's crazy is we're providing a service that automatically loses money for the government. So like the taxpayers pay into this and it's just losing money every year. I mean, is that...
It's almost like, you know, like it's like a thing that you have to do in your life. Yeah, like when does the military make money? When does any part of the government make money?
What I'm saying is like it is different than the military. If we're talking about just in general, the military is supposed to keep us safe. The post office, there are alternatives that do make money. I understand it, like if
okay,
it wasn't...
just to put this out there, the Postmaster General himself said that in order to stay afloat, this isn't to start making money, in order for this to be a profitable thing for the government to have, it would have to quadruple its rates on pretty much every service that they offer in order to be afloat. So the fact that this exists to help people who are like less than fortunate still also have a life where they can rely on being able to send mail, the fact that this even exists in our world is a good thing. And the fact that we're trying to get rid of it in favor of things like Amazon or UPS or FedEx that charge a ton relative.
They don't charge a shit ton. It's not like crazy higher. I mean,
4 times the amount, Cole. They're trying to
4 times the amount for the
prices.
USPS to get to where they can stay afloat. But it is not 4 times higher for me to go to FedEx and ship something. Like that's not true. I mean, it's pretty competitive. I mean, and also the free market was the one that brought in same-day shipping, or also 3-day shipping, also flat rate boxes. Like these things were started by FedEx, UPS, things like that, not the USPS. Which if they were, I mean, if there was no FedEx or UPS, we probably would still be 7 to 10 business day shipping, and like no flat rate. Like there's no way that would exist because the government...
also realize just like a little tidbit about FedEx, you realize Fred Smith, he actually was about to like go for broke in the 70s and like bet his last $5,000 on red at a casino just to like keep himself afloat. And mind you, he wasn't, you know, giving mail to the entire country. You know, he wasn't like in charge of stamp regulation or anything, you know, actually important that the government, like the Postal Service actually is in charge of. He was just in charge of the accounts that he could manage as a small business. Like we're not talking about like, oh, whoever can afford to send mail. We're talking about every American gets mail every day. I don't think that private industry...
And it's mostly junk mail. I mean, it's mostly junk mail, but I mean, I was going to say that. But what I'm saying is like, if it was run as a business, it would have to make money.
It's
like,
been getting run as a business.
We're literally paying money for this service, and then actually have to pay the service again when we ship something. It's not free to ship something. You don't take your thing to USPS, and then they're just like, okay, you paid for this already with your taxes. We're gonna go take it for you. We paid it for our taxes. That doesn't keep it afloat enough. We have to pay again, and that's still not keeping it afloat. Like this isn't a responsible way to do business. I mean, or a service at all. Especially with service.
It's almost like ever since we started.
It has to be.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a business.
What?
The way that I see it, it's like, exactly. It doesn't have to be a business. This is not in Capistan. And the way that I see it is that this USPS is providing people with a source to send their mail. I mean, all of my mail from work goes through USPS, and I saw that box and I was like, okay, if this didn't exist, then we'd have to like. I work at a senior living facility, and we get so much mail from USPS. We get maybe 100 something.
But I'm saying,
maybe
like,
not exactly 100, but I don't understand why it has to be run
without
as a business. Why does
USPS,
everything
like, it's
have
not
to
like
be a business?
without USPS, it's not like the mail would not get to you. Like that's not true at all.
It's not like the mail wouldn't get to us, but it is a service that is providing for so many people in this country, and it is benefiting this country. You don't say we're losing money on the military, we're losing money on libraries and other public funded things. You don't say that. So why would you say that we're losing money on the
I would
postal
say we're
service?
losing money on the military. What I'm saying is like the military is separate. It's a different entity. I can make an argument about why it should be privatized in Ancapistan, but I'm not going to make that argument right now. But what I'm saying is, like, there is a service. If there is a service that does have free market, like legitimate free market alternatives, why should that service not be run as a business? Why should that service be allowed to lose money year over year, which apparently we pay taxes for? We pay taxes for this, and it still loses money. How is that a good thing?
Let's think about this critically, Cole.
Service.
Let's think about this critically.
Schools? Like, do you agree with like public schools and that kind of stuff?
Like, do I agree with it? No. Like, it's again, but also, I mean, that's another one. There's private schools. Like, they do
exactly. There are private schools and public schools.
I think there should be a borderline public option with private options that provide a better service. Do we not see that
makes
already?
Sense. I mean,
maybe there are improvements that need to occur to the USPS. I wouldn't disagree with that. I think that we were just talking like 10 minutes ago about how there's issues with the government and taxes and how a lot of our money goes to the wrong places and a lot of our tax money feels like it's being wasted. I can understand how people feel that they have their money being wasted and squandered. It gets really fucking annoying when you see things that your money is being wasted. But if you have like Prime, for instance, if you can have a private option that is better, you can get free 2-day shipping, or if you live in a place that is a high density population, like where I live in Northern California, I will get packages the next day because there's an Amazon fulfillment center like 15 miles away.
Well, you can also get packaged the day of. Like,
you can get packages even the day of if you order it soon enough.
And see, that also comes from an area that you're being catered to. I was listening to the NPR. They were talking about the office or the post office today, and they're talking about how the senator's like big idea on how to cut spending is, well, places in Alaska. Places in Alaska. Why do they need to get their mail every day? Why do they need to get their mail every day? Why don't we just only send mail every day to places that it's already a well-traveled place? Like, if we get rid of the private or the public sector of something, that's where you start to see people getting catered to where it's profitable. It's not profitable to send mail to Alaska, but people still need their mail.
I live in Iowa, so I mean, I understand that.
And
like the tail end of it, people aren't going to cater to Iowa. So if things are completely privatized, it's gonna come to
they're gonna cater to like Des Moines. They'll cater to Des Moines
not
and
cater to
like
Iowa. It's just totally
they'll cater to the Des Moines area, and that's probably about it because there's nothing else really in Iowa besides cornfields and bean fields.
But
And before I lived in Northern California, I lived in the
there is
Mojave.
profit to be made. Like, it's not like
but,
it might be more profit, but I mean, you have if Amazon gets to your house, like, they're not like, they wouldn't just be like, we'll just forget about these people. This, 40% of the people that live in rural areas, and I don't know the exact number, but it can't be like, I mean, I'm just gonna make it 40%. I don't know. Maybe if someone wants to fact check me, get the actual number of people that live in rural areas, whatever that number is. They're not just gonna be like, yeah, fuck those people. We're not gonna care about that 40%. No, they'd be like, we still want that. We can get that profit or get that
until it's not
from them.
Profitable.
Yeah,
I understand that costs
can
can go down with innovation of technology and that sort of thing. Before I lived in Northern California, I lived in the Mojave, and the nearest big city of more than 40,000 people was an hour and a half away, and it took like 2 weeks for shit to come in the mail. Even like Amazon.
So
so then am I then forced to go with the private option?
No, what I'm saying is, if the USPS would get you in 2 weeks and the private option would get you in 2 weeks, why should we go with the one that is less literally is failing every year, is totally over budget. And
Bear in mind,
Because
it's
it's
only
less
failing because
expensive.
Bear in mind, it's only been failing since 2006 when that bill that was signed in that literally started to cripple it. So let's not say like, oh, it's just been bad ever since it was created, because it
Yeah.
wasn't.
That
But,
and I
but
just
if it's a part of the
listen-
government can change it and do
It's
stuff like
almost like people are
Okay.
trying to placate private industry so that they can stimulate that part of the economy, not realizing that it's also
60
crippling.
million.
that. So in 1844, Lysander Spooner saw a need in the market because back in that time, the cost to send a letter from like his city to like a city like 100 miles away or something like that was like I can't remember the exact number, but it was like say like 30 cents, which it was like in that time. By now, it'd be like $3.50 to send that one letter, which is a crazy high amount, like adjusting for inflation or whatever.
Okay, so I don't want to cut you off, but at the same time, I don't want you to waste all this time. That was then. This is now. The post office is the cheapest option, not the most expensive.
Well,
so it has
and
nothing to
I'm
do
gonna
right now.
it does have something to do because
Oh boy.
the reason the post office is cheaper now is because of the competition that was started under Spooner. Like that is why it got cheaper. So what happened was Spooner started his own mail company. Well, then the USPS went to the Congress and said, "Listen, under Amendment 1 to the Constitution, Article I think it was like 8. It says that the government has the express power to set up a post office." And so they said, so we don't want him because he's providing a much like he cut their cost by like 30 or 40% or something like crazy. So he made it much cheaper to send mail, and he started his own mail company. So they said, we want him out because we have the express power. Well, Spooner was a lawyer, and so he went to Congress and he said, listen, actually under Article 8, or I think it was Article 8, it says the government has the power to set up, but it does not have the express power to be the only provider for mail service. Well, they didn't agree with that, and they made a law in 1845 to allow only the USPS to be the only provider of mail service in the U.S. Well, so everybody got actually really pissed off because they had to go back to this like $3.50 now price to send a letter very short distance. Well, in 2 years later, they passed another law to limit the price to go back down to 6 cents a stamp is what it was then. And then 2 years after that, they dropped it again to 3 cents a stamp. So because of Spooner providing a better service, the overall people in the United States got a better service because of that, is what I'm saying. So I don't think.
But what
Okay,
I'm
so
actually hearing is he was just pointing out the fact that the government was just being asinine with how much they were charging. He didn't
Yes,
actually
exactly.
provide a better
So,
service.
I'm angry
The
again.
government
I'm
was
angry
being
again.
asinine? Yeah, it happens all the time. Literally proven.
Yeah, that doesn't help your case. We're saying that, hey, this is now the
Exactly.
real world.
The reason
USPS is
it's cheaper now is because of
Oh yeah, guys, it was because
I said it
over
was-
150 years ago, this guy said, "Oh, what if I made my own mail service?" That to today is the sole reason why it's cheaper. It has
I'm
nothing
not
to do with
saying
like
it's the sole
in
reason,
World War
but
II, there was a
it
revival
is-
of the postal service that was supposed to be like a more beneficial system for the American taxpayer. Has nothing to do with that. It's all because Lysander Spooner decided he was going to be like, "Hey guys, what if I charge
Okay, I'll
3 to
just
4
spin
cents
facts, though.
less?"
What I'm saying
No,
is
it's August.
without
August is
Spooner,
spinning facts. Cole is
would
not.
it have? What I say? If Spooner did not exist, he did not start that business, would the post office have dropped their rates?
I'd imagine so,
Probably.
seeing as in
There's
the
no-
World War
that's
II
not true
era.
because-
If you ask the question, I'll give you the answer. In the World War II era, they literally slashed a lot of their prices for everything and created an entire banking system for people who were being marginalized by a warlike economy. Like it's almost like they realized, oh hey, we're supposed to be an altruistic system for the American taxpayer, not supposed to be running ourselves like a business like we're trying to do today.
There was no reason for the business when they were they had a monopoly on the business anyway.
They weren't a business until 1970 under the Reagan administration, who decided
What I'm
to
saying
make
is,
them
like,
someone
they
who's
were a
supposed to keep
service.
themselves afloat. And then in 2006, when they were actually enforced to not actually take as much money from the American government like they were, that's when they started to hemorrhage billions and billions of dollars.
So because they're not taking money from the government, so they're not funded by the government, or they're just
Because
not
they
much?
are Look, they were not intended to be run like a business. When they were created during the Revolutionary War, they weren't supposed to be a business that was supposed to keep themselves afloat.
So we are actively paying for something that loses money, and then we have to pay for on top of that.
You're acting like it's some OnlyFans
but because it's a
subscription.
little
It's
bit
mail.
No, but it's mail. Like,
Not everything
there
has to be
is a better
profitable.
option. Like, the private option is better. Like, it provides a better service.
Yeah, and if you
And
want to get
one
your
of the
mail
reasons-
tomorrow, then you can go to FedEx or Amazon. But for people who can't afford to pay $8 of per letter, because that's how much FedEx charges for your 2 to 3 day shipping, is
And how much
$8
does
for a
USPS
single
charge?
document.
I want to know how much USPS charges.
It's 35 cents a stamp, and you don't have to worry about getting it tomorrow. I'm not saying get rid of private industry. I'm saying keep the one that makes it affordable for normal people to send their mail.
So if I'm looking, for example, if I'm looking at America right now, of course, I believe as an authoritarian leftist that the system that we have right now is not perfect in any way, shape, or form, and that the entire government needs to be rebuilt from the ground up. However, since I'm talking realistically here, there can be private companies and publicly funded services that coexist, because private services can be used by the people who are able to pay for it and for the people who it would benefit. For example, 60 million people in America live in rural areas, and because of that's like 1 out of 5 people. And because of that, you see these private companies catering to the 4 out of 5. But for those people who live in rural areas, for example, your Montana, your Iowa, Nebraska, I don't know, just rural
Wyoming,
states.
if it existed.
Yeah,
Like
no,
people
I'm not
who
going
live
to say
in
Wyoming
rural
because it doesn't
areas.
exist. But these people who are living in these rural areas are not getting mail as fast either way. People are not getting faster shipping because of Amazon, because they're based in the places that are going to make them the most profit. So why pay more for something that's going to take just the same amount of time as if a government-funded program or service did that for them at like the same rate? Why would you want to pay more for that? It doesn't make any sense to me, especially for people who live in, for example, farming communities or rural areas. How
Did show I can do it cheaper than them and get it to the same places they get it to. Like, so that was already shown. And then the USPS was losing money because of that. They were losing revenue. And also, I mean, it was pretty much showing we don't need y'all. So why are you a service anyway? Because someone else is doing it cheaper. Like, it was already shown it does do it cheaper. And then the government
Hey,
said,
wait. Just
okay,
to
but now
just,
the USPS is cheaper.
wait. But
because they artificially set it cheaper.
Hey,
So
just to
that's-
take what you're saying seriously, even though we really shouldn't be, just to take what you're saying seriously, he only operated in the cities of New York City and Philadelphia, 2 very heavily populated areas. He wasn't operating anywhere else. So
He was only doing it for a year. You can't just
That
say
still doesn't matter.
expanding. It's not like he didn't plan on expanding at all.
I'm
But
sure he planned on it, but he wasn't
showed that I
given
can
the
do it- I can do
task.
it for cheaper.
He wasn't
But
given
if
the
he
task of
wasn't-
delivering to everywhere. He was
if
only
Mr.
delivering where it was
Spooner-
profitable.
If Mr. Spooner here wasn't delivering to all of these rural areas, then why should we rely on that for the country that we live in today? Why should we rely on your Spooner theory
He was
for
the
what is
first-
happening
okay,
in
so-
current day America?
So first of all, it was at that time, it was USPS and then Spooner made his own company. So it was 2 companies.
I know.
I said, I can do it. What?
I said I know this.
Okay,
You've said
so-
this multiple times.
And what I'm saying is there doesn't have to be just 1 or 2 companies. There can be thousands, or I mean, maybe not that, like there could be thousands, but there could be multiple companies that ship mail. And so this one works in this area, this one works in this area, and they ship to that one and that one ships to you. It's not like it has to be one that covers the whole area.
Cole,
But
you're
that's
shifting
not
the
what's
goalpost.
happening.
Cole, you're shifting the
That's not
goalpost
what's
because that's what we're
happening.
saying too. We're saying that private and public industries can exist.
I'm
You're
not- I'm
arguing
saying all
against the
private.
existence.
Cole,
saying-
what you're saying
because
does
the
not go
public-
with my
the public-
already formed opinion.
What?
What you're saying does not go with my already formed opinion, all right?
Yeah, therefore it is wrong.
Like,
Micah,
What I'm saying
Micah,
is,
hey,
like,
hey.
the government artificially sets the price low for the USPS. Like that can't, because if they're losing money, they have to set it. They're setting it lower. There's like, you can't argue that, can you?
What?
What are you even talking?
If the government is subsidizing the USPS, which they are to an extent, right? Okay.
Yes.
Right.
That means they can artificially set their price lower, correct?
Wait, if you're gonna use subsidies to explain why we shouldn't have to pay for things, and we shouldn't have to pay for shit, like especially for food when it comes to how many like subsidies farmers get. These are basic necessities for life. That's why they get subsidies, because they are required to live.
They get subsidies because people don't understand that they can't fucking just
grow your own food. Just get your own farm. Yeah, just fucking do it, dude.
Or
Get your own
just-
subsidies.
No, they want subsidies because they're afraid of losing business to other countries. Like that's literally what Trump has said. He said we're losing our farmers are losing to China or even Europe, the breadbasket of
Wait,
Europe.
but as an ANCAP, wouldn't you support whoever has the best price to be winning? Why do you care about it now?
what do you mean? I am against subsidies. I am for the best price. If the best price is not coming from our country, I don't give a shit.
I don't really have an opinion on this because, well, I just don't.
I thought you were a laissez-faire capitalist.
I am.
So why are you for a government subsidized business or service, whatever you don't want to call it business?
Yeah, I'm okay. I don't really care if the government, I guess, kind of owns it because I don't think it should be a business.
Based. That is correct.
Base.
So it's not
You're
that the
right.
government is taking a private system and making it public. It's that it should be public, and there shouldn't be a talk about it being private at all in the first place.
Yes.
It's a service,
Yeah.
not a company.
Yeah, it was made
But
into
it
one
act-
by Ronald Reagan. So, like, you know, it can only be so good.
But what I'm saying is, it acts like a business because you still have to pay for the service.
Well,
correct?
technically, the military can also act like a business, but that doesn't mean I think it should be.
How could now, away from just private military firms, how could the military act like a business?
Same way mail does.
I don't understand because I'm not going to the military and be like, I need this to happen. I'm going to pay you this much.
I'm
and the
going to pay you, and
crap.
you are going to protect my land and my business and my pretty much
the
me.
country.
Yeah.
But that already happens through taxes. Like that's what they do.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
that's
that
how
should
the
not
mail.
be a business. That's my point.
That was
But
actually
that's
a
not,
good
that's not how
point.
the post office is, though. You still go to the post office. You still have to pay again. Like a business. You go in
And
there and
I don't think you should.
They're
That's
like,
it's
okay,
already
that'll
paid
be
through tax
$20.
dollars.
What?
I'm not arguing that
Exactly.
it should be.
I mean, if it's already going through taxes, then I don't understand why people have to pay more. However,
Okay.
you're so concerned about this being a business that, oh, you shouldn't be so concerned about people paying extra because it's trying to run like a business.
It's not. But you can't have both. Like you can't have a business that is also subsidized because then it's not a business. It's just it's a government subsidy that is.
Okay, let's
It's
think
totally
about this
outside of the
critically
market,
now.
is what I'm
Let's
saying.
think about this critically now. If this, I'm doing finger quotes here, business, because I don't think it should be a business, has
It
been
shouldn't.
the cheapest out of the 4 major shipping companies, and it is the cheapest by far, and is still losing money. That's proof that it should have more government subsidies because it is the cheapest and still loses money, but is still providing an affordable service to the American taxpayer. It's not that, oh, well, if it's losing money, just let it fail, you know? It should be something that is maintained because that's infrastructure for our country. If we go to war and a company's just like, oh, well, this isn't profitable. I'm actually picking up and I'm going to Germany. You know, like we're fucked. We have to have infrastructure as a nation and also maintain our economy in a smart way. And the smart way is to maintain the baseline feature for the American taxpayer that isn't the incentivized version where you pay $8 to get a letter from here to fucking Los Angeles in one night.
Why is the lib left being the most off one here?
He's also the most capitalist one here when we're talking about like
Yeah.
the Patreon and stuff.
Do not out me. The fans must not know this.
But why? I had a fucking brought up Patreon. I lost my train of thought.
He thought about all the fucking patrons he subscribed to, and he's like, oh god, that's so much money.
You know how much ramen I can buy with the Patreon money?
Oh, I know.
Shitload.
Okay, so your thought is that even if a part of the government runs in a deficit, that we should just give more money to that until it becomes, it's not even profitable, that it just continues to run.
Yes, because I do not see the
problem
world
we're
as a
facing now
group
with
of
all of government, while we
businesses.
have 22 trillion or whatever it is, 28 trillion dollars.
Oh yeah, see the cool thing about that though is the majority of that debt is actually owed to like people who have bonds and stuff. We owe the most money that we owe to a foreign nation is, I believe it's like Russia, and it's not even $1 trillion.
Yes,
Like, I know that sounds bad.
That's
but,
out of
like,
that 28 trillion. We also have 150 trillion dollars of what's it called?
and you know what's gonna make that deficit better? If nobody gets their mail, that will make it all better. Cole, I promise.
Yeah, exactly. Like if my
Okay, but it's adding to the deficit. Like it's not helping the deficit either.
Is the
Like,
deficit a direct result? I haven't talked much this episode because I'm enjoying listening. Is the deficit a direct issue of just pumping money into something and it not working, or is it an issue of pumping money into
Inflation.
something and there's money going to the wrong places and we need to reform?
Like Israel.
I think reform would be a.
Israel.
Well, I think reform would be a better solution. Privatize. Okay. I don't think going completely private or completely public would necessarily be a good idea, because if you go completely private, there's an issue there. As we've been talking about like this entire episode. Ava in August already explained it. We're not going to go back to that.
I came back and
arguing.
Said, look, there can be
what I'm saying is
service
when there's a completely public system, unless people cannot,
there could be multiple.
There should be a baseline public option with a better private option, or a not even a better, just an alternative. You should have the choice, right? We talk about there's a big argument with capitalists, and we see this with like neocons and stuff, but which I know Micah hates, but
Yes.
we see that argument of, oh, well, you're socialist, go make your own community then, and stuff like that, right?
I will watch me.
Go do that thing. Well, if there's a public option, unless the government restriction, I don't think the government should restrict people from going private. I think you should be able to make your own private option, and if it sucks, people won't buy into it. Unless they're really fucking stupid. And that's the same option. It's like, do you not like the public option? Well, you have a private option. Do you not like the private option? Well, you have a public option. You can pick the quote of, I guess, sort of lesser of two evils, which I fucking hate picking the lesser of two evils, but I don't even think this is an issue of lesser of two evils. I think this is
public service and evil.
There's a public I'm making a bad comparison. Be quiet.
Okay, thank you.
You have your public service that has baseline services, and then you have a private option, which can provide maybe, I don't know, slightly faster shipping. You still get it, you just get it faster, and you have to pay more to get it faster, or I don't know. Stuff like that.
Or if it was cheap, or cheaper. I mean,
if it's cheaper, so then what's the issue with there being a public option?
What?
What's the issue with there being a public option then?
No, what I'm saying is like, okay, so it's
okay, got it.
One, there doesn't have to be, because
but what if we want one?
Like, what if you want?
What if the majority of Americans were not? It was just hypothetically. What if just the majority of Americans want a public option?
If the majority want it, that means a minority doesn't. Like, is that not true?
So then the minority should go for the private option.
Yeah.
Minority doesn't want to pay taxes for this, is what I'm saying.
Well, tough fucking shit. You live in a first world country, dipshit.
Wait,
do you not? Okay, but like, do you pay taxes?
Live in a society.
Do you not think? I pay taxes. I pay taxes, and then some of my tax money goes to some fucking kid whose dad is some senator, and he just sits there. He never went to college, and he makes $200,000 a year, and he sits in his fucking room. You cannot tell me that is not true, right? There's always going to be some way your tax money is going to something that you either don't participate in or don't support, right?
Yeah, and also that example is a bad thing. That example's a bad thing. The Postal Service is a good thing. You know,
I know.
You know.
It's like
the Postal Service isn't a good thing. It's a good.
It is a good thing, right?
Idea.
So if there's certain bad issues within the Postal Service, should we not try and reform those issues and make it better and improve that system so that people have a better public option? And if prices,
we should just abolish it because it's profitable.
Abolish the mail because
it's
makes
not
more
profitable.
money.
It actually is. It's not even profitable. It doesn't even break even. Like, it's so far unprofitable that it would have been done over 10 times already if it was a regular business. And
Well, that's because
So
it
it
wasn't
was
designed to
miming.
be a business.
It wasn't designed to be a
exactly.
business.
It's not a business.
It's in the name United States Postal Service,
Service!
not United States
why
Postal
would
Business.
why would we want to have something that literally
USPS.
does not work in the real world?
It
Like, it's
does.
working right
You
now.
absolute
This is
buffoon.
working.
If you remove the government, it cannot work. So we're gonna pay the government, and then we already it is proven fact that when something goes through a bureaucracy, it does not come out better. Like, it is inefficient by design. Correct.
How
So
is this a proven fact?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Show
source
me
on
your
that.
sources.
that a bureaucracy is inefficient.
I'm sorry, my source is my brain. Thank you.
Source Hoyful.
That's source crack pipe.
That's what I was thinking.
Wait, do you not believe that a bureaucracy is inefficient?
No, I'm just making. I'm just making fun.
I know
of
you're making
you.
fun of me. I'm not talking to you, Alex. I'm talking to the off left and the slightly lesser off left.
I'm agreeing. I'm basically agreeing with Cole, but I'm saying that there should still be a public option, and you should not strip that away.
So
from the
you're
American
agreeing with
people.
us because that's what we're saying anyway.
Yeah, that's literally what we're saying.
Yeah, but I'm not. Yeah, until we talk about abolishing private businesses, and then that's where I kind of pump.
Yeah, that's
my
why. That's not what we're saying.
I know.
We're saying,
I know.
private.
I'm talking about
Yeah,
if we
here's
were to
what I'm
talk
asking.
about why while we're talking about businesses, we just get rid of all fucking
Yeah,
public
that- nobody's
quote
gonna
businesses
say
or
that.
private quote
What,
businesses.
what I'm asking is,
I'm making a
at
stupid
what
joke.
point
It's a stupid joke.
At what point is too much of a deficit? Is what I'm asking.
When it is a service that is required for businesses and Americans to function,
Hey,
there
Cole,
isn't.
The mail is not required for you to function.
Anna and
Oh, you don't-
Capistan,
you don't
who's gonna
need
pay
to
off the
Michael was
deficit?
saying something.
Okay,
Michael was saying
hey,
something.
You know how much mail I
Anna and
receive?
Capistan, who's gonna pay off the
So
deficit?
that leads into today's world. I'm sure that we get less mail than we did 10 years ago, 20 years ago, because we get a lot of things digitally now, right? I mean, your bank statement. I get my bank statements digitally, so I don't have to go through the mail and look at them, right? I don't want to waste the paper. So should things like data should there be a public option for data and things like that? What is the baseline that is needed to function in everyday life in today's world, right? Mail, I think, is used a lot less. It's more packages, but if we're talking raw mail, your bills, your junk mail, stuff like that, your newspaper, isn't a lot of that digital now?
Why should
Yeah.
you have to? No, I get paper stuff.
Right, but I'm talking about the majority
What
of
important
Americans
things
are
do you get
moving
that
to
are
digital.
paper?
143 billion pieces, between 143 billion and 160 billion pieces of mail are moved every year. And bear in mind, we're not just talking about letters you get from your grandma. We're talking about prescriptions. We're talking about very
Right,
important
yeah.
things
But I'm
that
saying
need to get to people.
I'm trying to think
You
of a
can't
way of-
That's
digitally
also
get your
done by,
prescription.
I know you can't digitally
But
hear.
that's also
Let me
done by
download.
packages
Let me
by
download my.
antidepressants.
Let me download my antidepressant. Beep boop 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 pop.
Yeah.
Memes.
No, it's actually a microchip from the American government to track where you are at all
Oh
times.
Serotonin
god,
and
wait, no, I've actually
dopamine.
seen that. We should talk about that.
It's about microchips.
Micah, you
There
like
was someone with a QAnon sticker on their car, and I was like,
Dude, honestly, QAnon is the most ANCAP thing. You know how much money people are selling or are making off of fucking QAnon merch? Commemorative coins and
So
shit for
retarded.
when Donald Trump will slay the demons and shit.
Oh my god! I literally, I think it was
That is
actually,
the society you want, Cole.
Who was? Oh my, I can't remember. I think it was on our page. I had messaged somebody. They had talked to us about. It was actually a question because I had put out the poll. What do you want us to talk about? And someone said QAnon. And I'm like, QAnon is just that guy from high school that get really into stocks, and he's wrong 95% of the time, but he bases all his he always brags about the 5% he got right. That's
He
QAnon.
bases his opinion off of r/stock market exchange.
Yeah, and then also he'll make a prediction,
/meme.
and it's just super.
yeah, r/meme economy.
I heard they're if there's a dude who actually did this, but it was being memed on for a while. That if you wanted to be successful in the stock market, you just do the opposite of what r/stock market trading says. And then I think a guy actually did it and was made $20K or
I
something.
mean, it's
like
not
that.
hard to win at the stock market. Literally just put money in the companies that are, I'm doing finger quotes here, too big to fail. I put some money into Apple, and it jumped from, at the end of July, it was, trading at 370. It fell down to, 340, and right now it's up to 500. It's just
Yeah, because
no
the-
shit, they're releasing iPhone 12. It's
Yeah,
it's,
once-
stock
yeah,
market
once
isn't
they-
hard to play.
especially with Apple, like any type of like newer release and stuff, like you can easily like be like, okay, I'm gonna wait 3 months before it, put in money, like 3 months later, I'm gonna cash out because it's gonna jump up huge because Apple releases every fucking I think September.
That was like the U.S. Like interacting with World War I.
Point is too much deficit. Like,
oh, we're still going. You haven't accepted the L yet, Cole.
No, but I'm saying in government in general, what is too much deficit?
Oh yeah, let's quantify a number right now.
Cole.
At least 2.
I was just about to say
Oh my
that.
God.
Okay, Cole. Who in Ancapistan? Who pays off the debt?
The debt of the United States?
The debt of the government that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Debt is a social
Okay,
construct.
China's gonna be wanting that money from someone. Who are they gonna get it from?
How much debt do we have?
Honestly, I mean, if it
We owe like $800
it's super weird because
We owe $5.70.
Fuck
and
it,
a
I got
Diet
this one, you
Coca-Cola.
guys.
honestly
I
by
got
now there is no
Alright.
like there's no way unless we just started actually started paying off the debt, which we don't. We just pay the interest on it every year. But like if the United States just falls tomorrow, I don't know who pays the debt. Like that's not I'm not a economist. I don't know how that works.
All right. Closing thoughts.
Accelerate. Also,
Accelerate.
buy merch from the
Anti-coal
post
action.
office.
Buy merch from the
I was
post office.
actually-
August has
yeah.
been messaging in the group chat about how much he loves post office merch, so I might go check that out.
Yeah, actually.
We know this is a little bit of a shorter episode, but I think we're going to end it here. This was actually a very consistent episode. Second episode is not going to be every week. The second episode will be fucking brain's not working all of a sudden. Will be special guests that we'll have on the podcast. So that'll be just reserved for having special guests on.
We should just cut the podcast out after August says and check out our OnlyFans, and then that's the end. And like play some outro music.
All right, I'm gonna
Also, why
restart
did
this
my
thing.
mom just ask me if I'm trans?
Because you have an anime girl profile picture. Anyways, as I was saying, second episode will be released on Tuesdays, normal noon time PST, and this will be featuring special guests. Normal noon time. That's our average time is noon on PST. We upload our regular episodes, where it's just us hosts, on Fridays, Pacific Standard Time at noon. Thank you for listening. Again, you can find us with a link in our description and in our bio. You can find our YouTube, our Spotify, our Instagram, our Discord, and all that fun stuff. Thank you for listening.